Before we talk about the that Christian girl trend, we first need to talk about the that girl trend. In 2021, lifestyle and wellness bloggers began producing instructional and motivational videos on how to become that girl. According to them, that girl is one who's not only professionally successful, but one who's reached her fullest potential by incorporating healthy habits into her daily life. These healthy habits include things like waking up early, cooking healthy, and more importantly, Instagrammable meals, working out every day and matching gym sets, and drinking green juice. In a nutshell, that girl is an idealized version of yourself that's Instagram ready at all times. This trend has been criticized, and rightly so, for placing unrealistic expectations on women. Developing healthy habits isn't a bad thing, but when you're selling this laundry list of habits, some of which are quite arbitrary, as the answer to life, it sets up many women for failure. While these influencers make it look easy, their lives as depicted in their videos are highly regimented. For many women, especially those with full-time jobs and children, there's just not enough time in the day to do an 8-step skincare routine or make aesthetically pleasing avocado toast. They're just lucky if they get everyone out the door in the morning with their hair brushed. Are they somehow failing to be the best versions of themselves? The trend also places excess importance on aesthetics. It's not enough to be hitting the gym on a regular basis. You also need to be wearing your matching leggings, sports bra, and scrunchie so that you can take a pic for the gram. And don't even get me started on how for many of these influencers, reaching your full potential is synonymous with boosting your productivity. That's a whole capitalist-born can of worms that I'm not going to open in this video. Christian lifestyle influencer Ashley Hetherington also sees problems with the that girl trend, but not because of the aforementioned toxicity, but because it's not Christ-centered. She wants to redeem the trend for Christianity, and to achieve this goal, she's doing everything that the that girlies do, but she's also reading her Bible and praying. Today, Drew and I are going to react to her video, How to Become That Christian Girl in 2023. Unfortunately, we're already halfway through 2023, so there's a little hope that I'll learn how to become that Christian girly. Well, probably a bigger barrier to that is the fact that I don't believe in God, and I listen to music sung by a demonic anti-pope, but I digress. As a disclaimer, the purpose of this video isn't to mock, ridicule, or make fun of Ashley. That being said, we are going to be pushing back on some of her ideas and presenting our case for why the that Christian girl trend is harmful for young women in the church. All right, let's learn how to become that Christian girl, shall we?
So we've all heard about that girl. This is the girl who wakes up early, exercises daily, and drinks her green juice. But is that girl biblical? Is there a biblical way to become the best version of yourself? In this video, I show you daily habits and helpful tips to reach your full potential in God this year, so that you can become the best version of yourself God's way. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley, and today I am so excited to share with you how to become that Christian girl. I am so excited about this topic because a lot of y'all have been asking on Pinterest and IG about how to really become that Christian girl, or if that Christian girl is even biblical. So we're going to get into it today, and I'm so excited for you to reach your full potential in God, because that's what this is really all about. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so something that's very integral to all that girl videos, regardless of them being that Christian girl, is waking up super early. That and drinking green juice are like the two things that you'll find in pretty much every video that's like this. Ashley backs up like the reason why she wakes up so early with Proverbs 31, which talks about the woman with a noble character. A woman with a noble character wakes up when it's still nighttime. So Ashley uses that verse to say that waking up really early is super important to being a good Christian woman. But the problem is that proverb also talks about a lot of other things that a woman of a noble character does, including like buying fields and providing food to her servants. And as far as I know, Ashley doesn't do any of those things. So I'm just curious why she like kind of cherry picks this one part of that proverb and ignores the rest.
Couldn't we just say that like you need to buy real estate specifically for agricultural purposes in order to be a good Christian woman, or that girl in God.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure if we confronted Ashley with this, she would say that, well, this proverb is metaphorical. It's just supposed to be general advice on how to be a good Christian woman. And my thing is, why then is this so important in all of her videos?
Yeah,
why cherry pick this one issue? And she actually, like in this video, it shows her waking up at 6 a.m, but she's waking up at like 5 now. Yeah. And like her more recent videos, she's waking up even earlier.
That's even godlier.
Yeah. Another thing about Ashley is she also sells like guides and how-tos on how to become that Christian girl. And that's like the number one thing is like wake up early. That's like the most important thing.
Huh.
We'll talk more about this, but something I'm seeing is that Ashley's kind of taking this trend that already exists. Waking up early is already really important in the other That Girl videos. And she's trying to find biblical justification for it. Yeah. And so that's why it seems cherry-picked, because it is.
Right. Didn't Jesus say something about don't pray in public? Don't pray in front of other people. Do it in secret.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. Well, it's funny because in one of her other videos, she talks about that. Like she's filming herself because she has like a prayer closet. Mm-hmm. And she's filming herself going into her prayer closet. And then she says, oh, I'm not going to like film the rest of what I'm about to do because it says in the Bible to pray in secret.
It's like, I'm not going to say that there is like one true interpretation of that verse because I think that just falls in the same kind of essentialism that she might fall into. But it is really interesting to me to be like, oh, that verse means that we need to go into a closet to pray. And it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be telling the spirit of the law there is not, you should not be proclaiming how pious you are, mm-hmm. which is like, historically that seems to be
the interpretation. Yeah.
All right then.
Reminds me of the prayer closet that we had at our college that people did not use for praying most of the time.
It was the only, private space that you could book on campus where a man and woman could both be in there at the same time. And so there were other things done in secret in that closet.
We didn't do them.
No, that place was a buzzkill. No way.
Oh, yeah, this is her prayer closet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, really defeats the purpose of a prayer closet to film yourself in the
So I just want to address this because this part is not what you see in the normal That Girl videos. You don't see girls reading their Bibles. You just don't. You don't see them in their prayer closets. You just don't.
Yeah, you probably don't see other girls that make this type of content praying or reading their Bible because they're probably not Christians.
Yeah, she's the one that's making it a Christian trend.
Yeah.
Right, so.
But this is not a specifically Christian trend. She's just trying to find reasons to make it a Christian trend.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole phrasing of like, become the best version of yourself in God. It's kind of like you're tacking the Christian part onto the end of this. This is mostly about like consumerism and your physical appearance and aesthetics, and then the God part is a part of that, small mm-hmm. part of that.
Here's why I think that this is the most important part of becoming the best version of yourself. If you do not know who your creator is, how will you know what he created? How will you know who you are if you are not talking to your creator, if you are not reading your creator's word? I literally don't know how people are finding themselves and not looking to the one who created them.
I think that's a really good point, and that's why she, reads the original words in Aramaic, Greek, and Hebrew when she reads the Bible, right? Oh, wait, no, she's reading it completely in English. I got to look at the translation and see exactly what that is. But no, I do find it really interesting when people say that the most important thing in their entire life is getting to know their creator through his exact words. And then you're like, so do you read like Greek? And they're like, no, why would I do that? Like, because the manuscripts were originally written in Greek. Have you studied like the different translations? Have you like studied manuscript traditions? Do you know anything about that? No, you're just reading the like super contemporary version of this text in English, and then you're saying that you really know your creator's exact words?
Or is she even aware of the fact that a lot of the authors, specifically of the Gospels, we don't know who they were?
Yeah.
I don't want to assume, but I'm guessing she's probably not aware of that.
Mm.
The thing is, I really can understand her thought process here, because when I was a Christian, I thought a lot of the same things. Like, I really didn't understand how other people got their self-esteem or how they found their identity outside of Christ.
Yeah.
Like, I really didn't understand that. And evangelical Christianity, they teach this idea that your identity is directly rooted in Christ, who you are as a person, and your value is directly rooted in Christ.
Yeah.
And I think that they see that as like a comforting thing to teach, especially to young women, because it's teaching them that they don't have to look to society or look to other people to be getting their identity or their self-worth. But the problem with that is that they're still teaching that your identity and your value is contingent on how someone else sees you.
Yeah.
Regardless of the fact that that other person is God.
Yeah.
Your value is still...
It's found outside yourself.
It's found outside yourself. And I also think that this is why when people are deconstructing aspects of their faith or leaving Christianity altogether, they have a really hard time figuring out who they are. And like, I know for me, like, I'm still struggling with that because we weren't given any tools for self-discovery or... I
mean, that was even shamed in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're focusing too much on yourself instead of God.
Yeah.
And so, as... a lot of people that are deconstructing are, in their late 20s, and we don't have the tools to figure that kind of stuff out. And so it causes a lot of stress, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely relate to that in a slightly different way. I've always really been into learning and trying to understand, like, develop wisdom. That's been important to me since I was like 8 years old. And reading the Bible constantly was a way, or is the way I was told to do that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got older that I realized that, I was sitting there kind of in judgment of other people for not doing the work to like better themselves and become wiser and educated by sitting down and reading the most important thing they could possibly read. Meanwhile, what I was actually doing was sitting there and spending time with one perspective, with one book, and reading it through this very, very narrow theological lens every single day, reinforcing thoughts I had had since I was like 4. I didn't go and read things that challenged me, and that does not actually cultivate you as a person.
No.
It makes you stagnate and silo your entire being into what your authorities telling you to read the Bible want you to be. And that's what they are intending to do with that.
Yeah.
So,
I think a lot of people are kind of okay with that because not being challenged is an easier route to take.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when because I think she's about to talk about how she tried to find herself when she was 16. Like, when you're at that age, like, and you're going through puberty and you're like, oh, I don't know who I am. People saying like, oh, just read this book, it'll tell you who you are. That's a lot easier option. Yeah. And I also think that there is no better way to keep someone involved in your religion or in your group than by getting them to directly tie their identity to the group or
Oh,
religion
yeah.
itself.
Absolutely, because then any criticism or anything or any questioning whatsoever of that group is a questioning of their core being,
Yeah.
which is a massive insult.
Yeah.
I was 16 years old. I tried to find myself and I couldn't find myself. I literally didn't know who I was. I actually didn't grow up in the church. If you're watching this right now and you're like, well, Ashley, I really just want to be that girl. Like, I want to be the best version of myself. And I don't understand what you're saying. The Bible scares me. Well, listen, it scared me too. I wasn't a Christian for 17 years. So just know you are in such good hands here. You are invited here. You are welcome here. I tried the other way, where I tried finding myself on my own. I tried becoming the best version of myself on my own, and it led me to a dead end. It led me to emptiness. And that's when I was like, all right, who is my creator? Who is it? And that's when I found the Lord.
But you were 16, though. I don't think anyone who's 16 knows who they are or can find themselves. And I think the whole concept of finding yourself is something that's kind of like peddled by the self-help sphere.
Yeah.
Because self-discovery is an ongoing thing that's going to happen throughout your entire life.
Yeah, and if you're a Christian, I mean, Christians who grew up in the church, too, also struggle to find themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes the church helps with that, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it can make it worse. So, I mean, this is just a complicated thing. It's not really as easy as, well, you have one true, I mean, this is buying kind of the easy answer of, you have one true identity, and if you just find it in the Lord, what you were intended to be, and, you know, he created you for this intended purpose, then things will be so much better. And it's like, well, that's not always true. Just like,
that's a very simplistic way of thinking.
Yeah. I mean, just like leaving Christianity to be your true self. People will leave Christianity and be like, okay, things are about to get so much easier because I can finally direct my own life, and then be like, oh, this is way harder than I thought. I just realized I'm still thinking in this Christian narrative of everything is easy as long as I fulfill my like true role or true purpose. Life is just so much more complicated than that.
Yeah. And just because she wasn't able to, I guess, find herself when she was 16, when she was going through puberty and her brain was still developing, that doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it, or that becoming a Christian is the way to do that.
Yeah, this is the actual egregious part of this part. It's, if she feels like she is happier as a Christian, then I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I encourage her in that. But this isn't just saying that she's better off as a Christian. It's saying that everyone is, and so you have to do it.
Yeah. I do want to say I'm pretty sure that Ashley is only 24 or 25. So I think this take is coming from some immaturity on her part. I'm not completely sure if she at 24 is qualified to be teaching other people how to find themselves necessarily. And maybe as she gets older, she'll kind of figure out that there is not just one, magic pill that you can take to figure everything out.
Yeah.
If you want to become the best version of yourself, I want to encourage you to read the Bible. You're like, Ashley, how does reading the Bible make me become my best self and pop off this summer? Like, how? Romans 12:2 says that we will be transformed by the renewing of our mind. So when you read the Bible, you read this, it transforms your mind. Before I started reading the Bible to now, people literally asked me, they were like, what happened to you? They're like, something happened. And the only thing
Romans 2:12, thou shalt pop off this year. So this is a little bit of circular reasoning. So she's saying people are asking her, how is reading the Bible going to help me find myself? And she's saying, well, in the Bible, it says this and this and this. You can't use the Bible to back up itself. That's what we call circular reasoning.
Yeah, I mean, if you can demonstrate to me, are there studies done that show that with people like read the Bible a certain amount, or if they read certain passages, that it has a demonstrable effect? And can you compare that to like a placebo group that reads just like other wisdom literature that's not sacred? Like, what happens then is, I mean, you hear people make these claims and it's always just backed up by anecdotes, which, if we hear claims of, oh, this like herb or supplement, like this really, really helped me, then we're like, I'm not sure if I should use anecdotal evidence to back up to believe that. I think I might need some kind of study. But if it's like God, then it's like, oh, we don't need any research. It's just because it's God.
Because in the Bible it says this, and also in my experience, this happened.
Yeah.
Like, that's not enough reason for most people.
I mean, I feel like my thinking and my life significantly changed when I started reading Carl Sagan. So that means that, like, reading Carl Sagan, if you read The Demon Haunted World, it like actually transforms your entire mind and your spirit. And I don't need any research to show that. If you do that, if you read The Demon Haunted World, you will be changed forever to where it's noticeable to other people. Like, see how ridiculous that sounds?
I could say was that I started reading the Bible. It is the only book that will read you. Scriptures in here are alive and active. They move. They are alive. They have breath because the Spirit of the living God is on this word. But
what does any of that mean?
Yeah, I don't think that she even really knows. That's just kind of another Christianese thing that people say. I mean, what they mean by that is that you can actively see the Bible playing out in your life or in other people's lives.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to kind of, when you already have this bias, when you're already in this group, I think it's easy to kind of see similarities in your life or in other people's lives because that's your bias.
Yeah, if you believe that this is going to change you by reading it, and then you read it and then it changes, or you feel like it changes you, you're like, oh, wow. And it's like, I mean, yeah, your expectations can shape what happens inside your mind.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that that's evidence of much.
Yeah, like when I was a Christian, I definitely had times where I thought that God was speaking to me, or I thought that I saw miracles. And ever since I've deconstructed my faith, that honestly hasn't happened. And that's because that's not something that's present in my mind. I'm not looking for that.
I actually used to keep a journal that was called the God of Coincidences journal. And every time that I experienced something as an atheist that I could interpret as miraculous or divine intervention or divine providence if I was a Christian, then I wrote it down. And after the first year, I just quit because I was writing things down every single day. Like, oh, I was able to find this in my house, or I wanted a friend that was like this. And when I got my new job, I immediately, the first person I sat down next to at training was like this. And yeah, this is about the way that your expectations shape your experiences.
Yeah, and how you interpret things.
Right. It doesn't have to do with actual objective realities that you're encountering.
Yeah. I think I saw a reel, or maybe this was like a YouTube video of hers where she's talking about how she was working on something at a coffee shop, and then she started thinking about how she was hungry and she really wanted a taco bowl. But she was like, I don't have time to go get a taco bowl, so I'm not going to. And then she said, like, within 10 or 15 minutes, one of her friends texted her saying, like, oh, I have some leftover, like, taco bowl stuff. Do you want me to bring you some? And she's like, oh, look, like, this is God answering my prayers or hearing my thoughts. And it's like, maybe it is, but also I find it kind of weird that God cares so much about Ashley Hetherington getting her taco bowl, but like doesn't give a shit about children dying from starvation. Like, that's a little weird.
I mean, one time I needed a certain amount of money in order to fund traveling I wanted to do for a certain video. And within a week of me needing that money and realizing that I needed to save for that, someone contacted me and donated like that exact amount of money.
Oh, wow.
So did
I
like
didn't know about this.
The atheist God or like the universe
Satan.
provide, or Satan provide for me to do that? Like, this is where this gets you. I can use this argument just as easily as someone that believes in a God can.
Yeah.
I just want to say that because that's different than what we see in a lot of these That Girl videos. Like, I don't think I see any of them with the Bible. It's actually a lot of them talk about like manifesting New Age religion. If you're a Christian, or if you want to start a relationship with God, you're probably like, well, but I still want to become the best version of myself. And guess what? The two go hand in hand, because the more you look to God, the more you find yourself.
I
love moving my body for 30 minutes each day. I find that I feel so much better. The Lord gave us these bodies to steward well, so I work out to glorify Him. My current workout routine is cardio 3 days a week, strength training 3 days a week, and then 1 rest day. I typically listen to an uplifting podcast in the morning to start my day on the right foot and to be in a good mindset. So I'll list some podcast recs that I have up here. Whatever you do, just find a workout regimen that you can commit to consistently and that works for you.
I mean, she has a solid workout routine. I don't really see anything bad with that. We try to be active and work out.
Yeah, I mean, evidence shows that the amount of working out she's doing is healthy.
So the next part about becoming that Christian girl is eating foods that nourish our bodies. So 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, whatever you do, whether you eat or drink, do it all for the glory of God. The reason why we feel our best when we eat foods from God's green earth is because that is how God designed our bodies to function. He designed our bodies to function on nutrients that He created in the world. So that's why we feel better. I don't know about you, but I feel like I have more energy. I feel like I can conquer the world. I feel more positive and vibrant when I'm eating foods from the earth versus from the potato chip bag. There is momentary pleasure with the potato chip bag, let me just tell you, but long-term gain with the God's green earth. This is not to say that you should never eat foods that are bad for you. You should never.
Okay, I was really confused there for a second because she was like, this is why it's so great to eat foods from the earth. I'm like, as opposed to from the moon? Like, what do you mean? And it's she means stereotypically healthy, less processed food, which is good. That's great. But I'm just not really sure why theology backs up the idea, or theology is necessary when we just know from actual research that eating less processed food is typically better for you.
She's trying to make this theological case here for why you should eat whole foods versus highly processed, full of saturated fat foods.
Yeah.
But potato chips also come from the earth. They're, come from potatoes. So, that reasoning doesn't exactly make sense. Also, we, as a human race, have domesticated a lot of the fruits and vegetables that we eat. They're virtually unrecognizable to what they were. I mean, if you look at pictures of, watermelon, how they used to look, they were basically had a very, very small bit of it that was pink and it was full of seeds. And then bananas were the same thing. Yeah. They were more round and had a lot of seeds in them.
If you look at corn, the teosinte plant was just this little grass thing with a couple little knobs on it. And now one kernel of corn that's been domesticated and bred and genetically modified for something like 8,000 years has more nutritional value than an entire stalk of corn originally.
Yeah, so we've been selecting for specific traits to make our fruits and vegetables more nutrient dense and bigger and tastier for thousands of years.
Yeah, so God didn't have to do that.
If she's making this claim that we need to be eating foods that God made these foods specifically for us because they're super nutrient dense. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you believe God created the earth 6,000 years ago, then He didn't. Yeah. I don't know if she's a creationist or not. I'm kind of just making that assumption. She might not be.
Or eat dessert. That is not what I'm saying, because homegirl's got a sweet tooth, and that's why most of the recipes I give you guys are sweet tooth recipes that are healthy with a healthy twist. But what I just want to encourage all of us is to eat foods that nourish the body that the Lord gave us. And my job is to give you guys some wonderful recipes as well. So that brings me to today's recipe. A lot of you guys were asking on my Instagram to give you healthy breakfast recipes. Normally I give you guys sweet breakfast recipes. Today I want to give you guys something different. I want to show you guys an avocado, kale, sweet potato egg bowl. Now if you don't like eggs, take the egg out, but I'm going to show you how to make this. It's so easy. It's so good. I'm so excited to show you.
thought I'd be sitting here reacting to a person making an egg with you.
She had a nice flip on that egg.
Yeah.
Didn't break the yolk or anything.
Skill. It really is funny how it's like, I'm going to do all these things that have nothing to do with theology, but like the language I'm going to use to describe what I'm about to do is going to mention God, and that makes it okay.
Biblical.
Yeah. You know, the only food that anyone in biblical times or in the area where the Bible was written would have eaten out of all of this is the egg. And the black pepper. Like sweet potatoes, nope.
No.
Kale, nope. Avocado, nope. Red pepper flakes? Actually, no. Nope, that's South America and Mexico.
I mean, honestly, that looks so good.
Yeah.
Though. That like seems like something we would
great.
eat.
I do feel like you could make the case that none of this is biblical, though, because they wouldn't have eaten this in biblical times.
Yeah.
Which is a dumb argument, but that kind of proves my point.
Time and attention. Won't you give some of it to me? Why don't you talk to me, talk to me? Let's start a conversation. When you spend your time with me, you speak.
Do you think that they had an 8-step skincare routine in biblical times?
Yeah, wait a minute. Isn't there an entire Pauline epistle where he's telling, I believe, the Corinthians not to braid your hair or use, and like, you know, braid it with gold and don't use like fine perfumes and things like that? But like anything we have now that you're using in your skincare routine is definitely much more luxurious than anything they had back then. So is that not biblical?
Well, I mean, in the Proverbs 31 woman, it says that she does clothe herself in like fine linens, or I can't remember the exact wording. So I think she can like point to that verse and be like, this supports this, you know, but the problem with the Bible is it kind of has contradictions.
Yeah, and so you can point to contradictory messages in it.
Yeah,
to say
whatever you want it to
right,
say.
But then you can also use theology, which is infinitely flexible and infinitely definable, in order to say there are no contradictions, even though you're using the contradictions to back up things that you believe which are contradictory. So it's just a mess.
We don't need a translation when you spend your time with me. You're speaking my love language. My love language is your loving.
God, I remember when I used to like write down Psalms and Proverbs all the time to try to make myself feel better. And like Proverbs is still probably my second favorite book in the Bible.
Yeah.
But that's not the only book you should be using to make yourself be a better person.
All right, I'm going to show you guys my outfit for today.
I mean, she looks cute.
Yeah.
It's not my style,
Is
clearly,
that not crazy, guys?
but I mean, she looks cute.
Top, Amazon, Toby, an English cream.
There's nothing that's like objectively wrong with this, but just something I've noticed reacting to a lot of these like Christian influencers like her and Paul and Morgan and Girl Defined and Nate and Sutton. They all have the exact same aesthetic and dress exactly the same, and like
it all involves having tons of white everywhere.
Yeah, everything is stark white. Even their decor, it seems like they all bought it from the same place.
White, gray, green accents, maybe a little bit of yellow and orange.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
And it's not wrong.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's fine.
It looks good. It's not my thing, but when I started my YouTube channel, my like set design did look a lot more like that. There's a lot more white. But I just find it really interesting that they all have the same aesthetic. Like, I just want to know what that's about.
Yeah, I find it really interesting when you can make observations like that, and yet Christians will be like, well, the through line for true Christians, like all the people that you mentioned, is our theological ideas. And yet they have the exact same like style and aesthetic, showing that they obviously share the same kind of ideas about material culture as well. And it's like, I would define that, because I don't use theology to define, sociological things. I would define that as Christian. Like, that style is just as Christian as, Genesis 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something that makes up the Christian culture that they live in.
For sure. This is fine. We're not saying that's bad.
Yeah.
It's just observations.
Retriever. Who
That's a cute dog.
Weird.
I love that dog.
And pants, you guys, I'm obsessed with. They are from not Amazon, Abercrombie. you guys have asked a lot about these gratitude walks and basically, or prayer walks. And basically what I will do is every single day around after lunch, I will go on a walk and I will thank God. I will just take time to thank God for different things in my life. If there's anything I'm feeling anxious about, I will do what Philippians 4:6 says, which is if you are anxious about anything, present your request to God and do this with thanksgiving. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. And so basically what I will do is I will take these 15 minutes to present any request to God. So ask him for help with anything that came up during the day, anything that I'm anxious about. I will literally go on this walk and just lift up each one by one.
Philippians 4:6-7, that was my favorite verse when I was a Christian. And that was because I had an anxiety disorder and that made me feel temporarily better.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything, it can be beneficial to go on walks and pray or meditate.
And have ritual.
Yeah, especially after lunch when people tend to get a little sluggish. That definitely can help.
Yeah.
But this is kind of tied to this teaching in evangelical Christianity, which I'm assuming she's an evangelical. She's used Mark Driscoll voiceovers in her reels before. So
Ooh.
I'm assuming she's evangelical. There's this teaching that all of your mental disorders, whether you have anxiety or depression, those can all be cured by just praying and reading your Bible.
Yeah.
And she's not directly pushing that, but she kind of is at the same time. She's saying, if you're feeling anxious about anything, then, just go on a walk and lift that up to God and it will be solved.
Yeah.
And for some people, maybe it will be, but there are people who have severe anxiety disorders and just walking and praying is not going to help them. They might need counseling or medication in order to see improvement. And that was my case. My anxiety didn't start to improve until I started going to counseling regularly.
And your first non-Christian counselor, by the way.
Yeah. So, it's not bad.
But it's only supplemental.
Right. Yeah.
Just be like, Lord, I need help with this. Lord, I'm feeling anxious about this. I'll just lift them each up one by one. And then I will just say some things that I'm grateful for that come to mind. And I swear, some of these walks that I have in the middle of the day, they change the course of my day. Because sometimes we get so caught up in the day and we let the anxieties and anything that's going on during the day just get us down. And this is a good reset for the middle of the day. You've gotten some work done and you just need to have a reset and just talk with the Lord, talk with your Heavenly Father, get it out, hash it out with him, and you're able to approach the day with a lot more peace and clarity.
Again, I think that can be very helpful, whether it is a Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or Satanist ritual. Having a ritual that's kind of like that, where you're basically spending time both doing light exercise combined with meditation, great, that's healthy. Just don't use it as a replacement for actual mental health treatment. It's just that Christians especially tend to do that.
Yeah.
You think about what you're running from.
Okay, I'm noticing that she's using what are clearly evangelical supplemental materials that have prompts and things like that.
You want to know something about this?
Oh no, what?
She wrote that. She's selling that.
Oh!
She doesn't mention it in the video, but that is a journal that she created, which, I find very suspicious when you are telling your viewers that these are all the things that you need to do to become that Christian girl, aka how to be a better Christian, and then you're also selling them stuff to help them achieve that.
Yeah, this is why, as someone who, people tend to watch my videos and then be like, oh, Drew's an example of someone who deconverted and is now healthy and successful. I don't do this because people might see me that way and trust me way too much. I'm just a guy. I'm just
you don't have all the answers to everything.
Yeah.
especially at 24. You certainly don't have the answers for everything at 24.
Yeah. I mean, she's not quite saying that she has the answers for everything with this, but it is, I don't know.
I mean, it's close enough. You're telling people that this is what they need to do to become a good Christian?
Hopefully she's okay with people using just like a blank sheet of paper to journal and acknowledges that that's just as healthy as using
In a lot
like
of these
propaganda
That Girl
pieces.
videos,
Yeah.
you'll see the 5-minute journal, but I have been using this prayer journal, which helps you not focus on yourself, but focus on God. This has prompts that will take you through just different ways to reflect on your day, different ways to reflect on your relationship with the Lord and what He's doing in your life, different prompts to help you focus on Him, focus on the Word of God, and also focus in on the vision that you have for your life. It does say that without a vision, a people perish. So what is your vision? Write the vision, make it plain, and reflect on how you can reach your full potential in Him.
We should acknowledge that, as a 24-year-old evangelical, she likely does not have any kind of rigorous education in, again, reading the biblical manuscripts, digging into what the original context of these different things might have been, what has been changed in transmission, how to use different interpretive frameworks, all that kind of stuff. So when she's offering you a journal that helps you to focus on God, it's like, okay, helps you focus on God through Ashley Hetherington's lens of God, helps you to become a better person through Ashley Hetherington's personal interpretation of what a good person is, like figuring out how to read the Bible well, okay, through her interpretation of what the Bible says, which is not going to be based on anything particularly rigorous. It's more just like, this is what my church told me and this is what I feel. So just don't expect this to be something more than it is.
Well, she's also saying that you shouldn't use other journals because they're too focused on the self versus focused on God. And I think that you could make the case that her journal is focused on the self too. You're focusing on how you relate to God. So you could make the case that it is still focused on the self. I mean, right there it says journal about someone or something you still need to forgive. That's focused on you and your life. So, I don't know.
You could make that argument.
Right. Sorry, not to nitpick on this too much. It does annoy me that people like her will say, oh, I'm just, trying to help other people with their walk, with their faith walk. But yet they're still making money off of it. It is kind of profit driven because a lot of these videos are kind of funnels to her journal and her how-to guide and all this other stuff that she makes money from.
And there are a lot of forms of Christianity historically where if you were profiting off of it, you were actually doing the devil's work. You were doing something that was supremely evil by using the Lord's name to make money. But because we're in this current cultural context where everyone's obsessed with consumerism and that is intertwined with Christianity within American culture, then doing this is not considered to be any kind of theological issue whatsoever. And I'm not saying that selling products on your channel is bad. I mean, I've done sponsorships and I think that, you have to do what you have to do in order to make money in this society. But there are so many versions of Christian theology that would directly say that she is not even a real Christian because she's selling things about God.
Right. And I don't think it is a problem to be making money from your YouTube channel. That's not unethical in itself. I do think it's unethical when all of your videos are, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z in order to be a good person or be a good Christian. And, I'm also selling you tools to help you achieve that.
And there's no other way that you can do this.
I do think that's unethical.
The thing that's going to help you reach your full potential in God this year is to spend time with people who point you closer to Him and help you become the woman that God created you to be. This is literally so important because you will become who you surround yourself with. So make sure you are surrounding yourself with people who will help you become all who God created you to be. You can do this through small groups, Bible studies, church, Whatever you do, just make sure you're getting around people who will lift you up. Smile.
She doesn't say this in this video, but just going through her Instagram and her other videos, she does say that, or she does talk about how she's left her worldly friends to have Christian friends, and she kind of discourages people from having friends that aren't Christians. And I think she's right. You will become who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Which also, on the flip side of that, if you willingly put yourself in an echo chamber and only surround yourself with people who agree with you on everything, your ideas and your beliefs will never be challenged.
Yeah, if you place yourself in a place where you must conform or else it threatens the social ties, then you are not going to be challenged and you're not going to grow as a person, except in the way that you will just become more and more and more like them, which, I mean, she says is a good thing and she bases that on theology. But, like, what if I made that same argument as an atheist? Like, I only hang out with atheists, which is not true. I don't. Like, I'm only friends with atheists because I want to make sure that my critical thinking skills don't get, like,
I want to make sure all my biases are confirmed all the time.
Yeah.
And I never have to be challenged by anything.
Yeah, and I would hope that a Christian would be like, whoa, no, don't just surround yourself with just atheists, because then you're just going to have, confirmation bias all the time. To which, I mean, I would say, that's why I hang out, like, with Christians and polytheists and, like, Satanists and, like, all kinds of people that don't agree with me, and that's
I think for both of us, it is important that we have friends or we're in the company of people who will uplift us and encourage us. But to us, those aren't people that believe every single thing that we believe. They're often people who will challenge our beliefs.
Yeah, we have Christians in our lives that
like
uplift
my best friend is a Christian, and she's like one of the best people I know, and she's constantly supporting and uplifting me.
There's really an overarching theme here. You know, you need to make sure and do the specific ritual every day. You need to read the specific book and probably a specific interpretation of this specific book, and then you need to interpret that English interpretation of that specific book in a specific way, and then you need to go on the specific ritual where you pray to the specific God in a specific way, and then you need to surround yourself specifically with people who agree with this very conformist kind of attitude. I mean, over time, this just puts you in a smaller and smaller and smaller box to where you're not challenging yourself.
Yeah.
Everything is the same, and you do quite literally the opposite of growth. You just become
stagnant.
Yeah, stagnant. I mean, I know that for me, like, doing all of this stuff and not challenging myself made me sit there and learn probably the least out of any period that I've ever learned in my life. And that some of that was when I was in university. Yeah. So I just think that you have to challenge yourself, and not challenge yourself in the way that the conformists tell you must challenge yourself, but get outside of it and be genuinely uncomfortable with things being new, novel, different, disagreeing with you. That's how you actually grow. Right.
And I haven't seen all of her videos, but in most of them I've seen, there's no mention of, like, the importance of having hobbies or reading books that aren't the Bible or aren't Christian.
Yeah.
Or attending educational classes or anything like that. There's no mention of those kind of things. It's like, you have to stick to this routine or else.
Yeah, it's about being the type of person that is not dangerous to authority.
Yeah.
Right? That's what this ultimately kind of comes down to.
It's about maintaining the status quo.
That's why you listen to people like Mark Driscoll. He's an authority. He wants everyone else to be a conformist so that they bow down to him, and look what happens.
Yep. Look for yourself, and you will find in the long run only hatred, loneliness, despair, rage, ruin, and decay. But look for Christ, and you will find him, and with him everything else thrown in. C.S. Lewis. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of C.S. Lewis.
No, me either. When I was a Christian, I thought C.S. Lewis was like the shit, and I've reread Mere Christianity as an atheist, and I'm like, oh my God, he does not back up anything he says with any data. It's just all anecdotes and like, oh, because the Bible says this.
It is basically the 1950s version of How to Become That Christian Man.
Yeah, it really is.
this video helped you see how you can reach your full potential in the Lord this year. Make sure to comment below what tip you are most excited to implement. I love y'all so much, and I will see you in the next video.
Don't you talk to me, talk to
Well, I'm glad that she loves us. That's nice.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe she was going to be mad, but that's good.
Just wait till we release this video. I don't know if she's going to love us anymore.
I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean. I just think that you have to actually challenge people on these things, or else we all just sit and stagnate and don't grow and do the opposite of what she is saying that you should do, which is grow as a person.
Overall, I find these videos, whether or not they're like that Christian girl or just that girl videos, they're very vacuous. Like, they're very surface level. They're not really saying anything or giving you any like practical advice. I mean, they're just saying eat healthy, work out,
go on walks,
pray.
pray.
Like, those are all important things, but those are things that most people know that they should be doing already. And she's also taking this secular trend and trying, like, adopting it to Christianity and trying to find biblical justification for it. But really, she's not changing that much about it, other than she's just incorporating reading the Bible and praying.
Yeah.
The that girl trend is problematic already. Like, there's already issues with it, like focusing too much on aesthetics and appearance. And it just kind of sets unrealistic expectations for women, because for most women, doing all of these things every single day is just not practical, especially if you have a job or you have kids.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be going to the gym every single day for 2 hours, or...
Also, if you don't have money, like...
Yeah, that's another thing about this trend, is that it's very...
Who can afford to, like, spend that much time on cooking and amount of time on, like, getting that kind of ingredients? And it's like,
very exclusionary.
Yeah, there's, like, a lot of people that can't afford that. It's just a money issue.
Well, and a time issue.
Yeah.
And for Ashley, this is her full-time job. So she does have the time to do all of these things every single day, because this is literally how she's making money. But for other people, they're just not going to have the time or money to do all of this. But then you're adding this extra layer of insidiousness by saying that you have to be doing all of these things in order to be a good Christian.
Yeah.
So it's not just like in order to be, you know, you're the best version of yourself, or to find happiness. This is in order to be a good Christian. Now you need to be doing all of these other things, as if women, especially Christian women, don't already have all these unrealistic expectations for them from like modesty culture and purity culture and all that kind of stuff. And now you're going to add this to it too.
Right. Raising the stakes in the biggest way you possibly can.
Yeah.
I think that having these massive expectations for yourself and raising the stakes in like a supernatural or spiritual kind of way does ultimately set you up for failure.
Right.
But here's the thing, is that Christianity is a religion for people who like are struggling, are in pain. It advertises itself like this. And that sounds like a really good thing. And for some people, it has been a really good thing. But also, it can be a thing where, you know, you get in this cycle where you have these huge expectations for yourself, and then you inevitably can't meet them because they're unrealistic. But because you are not allowed theologically to think these are unrealistic expectations, you think there's something wrong with me. So what do I need to do? Try harder to meet these unrealistic expectations.
Right.
And then you get in a shame cycle where you just do it over and over and over. And shame cycles make you dependent on the thing that is making you ashamed.
Yeah.
So it's like, welcome to the that Christian girl trend where God becomes your abusive partner that you're chained to.
Yeah. We're not saying doing any of these things are wrong in themselves. What we're saying is telling other women that they have to be doing all of these things in order to be a good Christian. That's the problematic part. And like you said, it just perpetuates this cycle of shame that you kind of get pulled further and further into.
If these were just suggestions, not like definitive, you have to do this kind of advice, would you have any problem with it, really?
No, I wouldn't have any problem with it. I think she might say that she's not saying that Christian women have to do all of these things.
Well, I would say that's not biblical.
But I mean, also when you're titling videos, how to become that Christian girl, you are saying that you need to be doing all of these things. It doesn't matter if you change the wording. It doesn't matter if you say, oh, I'm just like telling women how to become the best versions of themselves, and that can look different for other people. You're still saying that you have to do these things in order to do that.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go, I think we need to post for thumbnails now in God. And then I'm going to edit it in God. Or you can edit it in God.
I want to edit it in Satan.
No.
I usually have Puggles here to help me do an outro, but unfortunately, we've been filming for a really long time, and Puggles was adamant that someone take him on a walk, so Drew's out doing that. So we have Cardinal Copia here, who's going to help us do the outro. Thanks so much for watching, and a huge thank you to my patrons who help make these videos possible. If you like this video, please be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. If you'd like to follow me on social media, my Instagram is Taylor_the_antibot. If you'd like to consider supporting this channel financially, a link to my Patreon will be down in the description, and I'll see you on the next one. Say bye!